Hey guys, what is up? Mr. Code Shorts here. Today we're going to be looking at lists in Python. Now I know a lot of you are thinking, lists, that's just a bunch of stuff I've scribbled down on a piece of paper and thrown in my back pocket to do today. Well, lists are much more powerful in Python than you may at first think, especially when you're starting out. So let's get right into it. So I've started out in this program by defining a list. So I defined it in the same way I'd define any other variable. I gave it a name, list1 equal to, and then I used open and close bracket to make my list or to define my lister. So open and closing bracket always defines a list in Python. And then you can see I put in the string brownies, the string cookies, cake, the integer 10, and the boolean true. So this is just representation that you can have any type or any Python data type in a list that you want. And the big deal with lists being that they are ordered. So I can say, okay, from list 1, I just want whatever the first value is, and it'll give me brownies. Or I just want whatever the final value is, which would be true. This is the power of lists because you can iterate through them, is what it's called. So while I sit here and run the program, it's going to print out this list. And then right behind it, it is going to print out all of the items in the list individually. So right here, if you look, what it printed out first is the list with the brackets, brownies, cookies, cake, 10, true. And then whenever I told it for x in list 1, print x, x is just what we call the iterable. It's just a holding place for where we hold each part until we print it. So right here, it printed brownies, then cookies, then cake, then 10, then true. So now that we know that lists are iterable, you can also start to think that, hey, each one of these indexes, you could call out exactly what you want. Although there's one big trick to lists. Lists start at 0. So if I want to call out brownies, then I have to say I want the data from list point or from list 1 point 0 or index 0. And that will give me brownies, which is what I've done right here. So then also what you can do, if this is 0 and you want to go back the other way, that would mean that it is -1, or in this case, true. And as well, another very popular thing would be to print only certain values. So like here, I've printed the values from list 1, indexes 1, so cookies, to 4. This would be 2 as cake, 3 is 10, and 4 is true. So the other interesting part about this, though, is that whatever you put in the latter place, so the 4 in this case, is that it's -1 per se, which is why you only get cookies, cake, and 10 rather than cookies, cake, 10, and true. So moving on, another common thing to do is to check if something is in a list. So I said if the string cookies is in list 1 anywhere, then print yes, cookies are in the list, and it printed out yes, cookies are in the list. This would be helpful if you were looking for a certain price or a certain number or something when you add a bunch of numbers added into a Python list. So another something that is very commonly done is to use the length of the list, which is also just the len command. So I have here print len list1, and it says 5. You'll notice here that this does not do the weird counting trick of starting from 0, because there are actually 5 items. The reason it does this is that you're asking for the number of items, not for it to number the number of items, which is kind of strange, but once you get used to it, it becomes kind of second nature. So even further, of course, it's another pretty common to change what's in the list, as you can do that with Python. So I have here set the list 1 index 0, so the first one, which is brownies right now. To change that to pi, you just do whatever to define a new piece of data in a list. You say whatever the name of the list is and the index equal to whatever you want the new value to be. So when I printed the list again, I got pie, cookies, cake, 10, and true, rather than brownies, cookies, cake, 10, and true. And then as well, if I wanted to simply just add something to the list, I would say list1 dot append the string ice cream, because I want it to add the string ice cream. And whenever I printed the list, it came out to pie, cookies, cake, 10, true, and ice cream. So I hope you've had a good time learning about some of the different ways to deal with lists in Python today. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Central for a brand new Code Shorts video.